Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, you might notice that I'm once again filming for you in a different location, but we're going to continue on with my mini-series of South Korean beers that I've been doing for you over the last couple of weeks. So I'm filming in Seoul today, and I thought it was only right that we kicked off my Seoul reviews, if you like, with a Seoul beer. So for this review, we're going to go to one that's actually very close to my hotel here. We're going to go to the Table Brewing Company, who happen to be one of the older craft beer companies that I've come across in Korea so far, and we're having a taste of their Bosingak Dunkel. Now this beer is a crowler, so there's a litre of beer in here, and I got this for a very good price actually. It was only 10,000 Korean won, which works out roughly at 1,000 Japanese yen, so you know, 8.5, 9 euros, 8 British pounds, like $10 US or something like that. But you know, if you've watched the channel before, you will know that I absolutely love my German traditional beers. This is the first Dunkel beer that I'm trying from Korea, of course, so I'm very curious to see how this one turns out. I did also film a bar visit video for their bar in Jongno here in the centre of Seoul, which was really quite nice actually, I have to say, so look out for that video coming out a little bit later. And it's cool, of course, as well to come across my first crowler here in South Korea as well. So really looking forward to tasting this beer and telling you a little bit about the brewery, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from the Table Brewing Company. Very first time I'm reviewing one of their beers for you on the channel. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the South Korean beers I'm reviewing for you, and hopefully I can continue to add to that fairly regularly over the next little while. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about the Table Brewing Company. So the Table Brewing Company was actually apparently founded back in 2008, and they're based in Ilsan, to the northwest of Seoul, the capital city of South Korea. So the brewery finds its origins in a pub in the Jongno area of Seoul, which is famous for the Gyeongbokgung Palace and also the Gwanghwamun Gate. And this company has been known for beer since around 1994. But the company is run by the Yun family, and it's currently run by Yoon Jae-won, who started the brewery after his mother's suggestion came, because she was really enjoying all the imported beer that they were bringing in. But originally they were brewing beer in an underground pub in central Seoul, but they later moved the production out to Ilsan, and they now have another tap room out there as well. But Jae-won apparently studied architecture before developing a taste for beer and then learning how to brew himself. But they also apparently own some beer pong bars around Seoul as well, and there's also a second table brewing bar in Mapo, which isn't too far away from Mr. Lee Brewing, which you'll see me review a little bit later on as well. But the name The Table apparently comes from the fact that those visiting the pub back in the 1990s, and later on of course as well, they would drink the imported beer, and then they could actually drink beer that came from being brewed under the table as well. So it's a little bit of a figure of speech, if you like. But as of July 2019, this brewery have produced around 45 different types of beer, and there are a whole variety of different styles actually as well. So there's New England IPAs, when I saw in the bar as well. They had stouts, they had porters, they had West Coast IPAs, they had double IPAs, they had German beers. There was a few Belgian styles in there as well. So there's a whole host of different beers available from the table, and I was impressed with the IPA that I tried in their bar as well, and I'm very curious to see how one of their more kind of traditional German styles of beer turns out as well. So yeah, that was all the information I was able to find on the brewery. As I've explained in the reviews before, it can be a little bit difficult to find information on Korean breweries, just because, you know, there's the language gap in there, and searching for stuff on Google using Korean can be a little bit difficult. But that was all the information I was able to find out about this brewery. But like I said, one of the older craft beer companies that I found dating, this brewery came out of a pub basically back in the 1990s. So I think this is the oldest beer company, if you like, that I've come across so far in my time reviewing South Korean beer, which you know, admittedly is a little bit small. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on there. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. So like I mentioned to you, the name of this beer is the Bosingak Dunkel, and it comes in at 4.5% ABV. So let's get rid of the brewery notes and actually get this guy out, and we'll get on with the tasting then. So as you can see, this is really quite nice actually. I really like the design of this crowler. I thought they were going to give me one of the darker brown ones since it was a Dunkel beer. I'm sure they had gold ones, they had brown ones, and I think there was one that was a little bit more silver than this as well. There was 3 different designs of crowlers that they had, but like I said, this one I believe is 1 litre, 1,000 millilitres. I don't know what that would be in American measurements, so I'm not even going to try that. But yeah, you know, I've basically got 2 glasses of beer in this, and this only cost me, as I said, 11,000. Was it 10 or 11,000 won? So 1,000 Japanese yen, somewhere in the region of €8.50, 7 British pounds, 10 US dollars, something like that. So for a litre of German style Dunkel beer, hopefully it's good value. But you can get these crowlers filled up with any type of beer in the pub, so you can pick from the double IPAs to the New England IPAs and stuff like this too. But I really wanted a German Dunkel because, as I told you, this is a style that I absolutely love, and I've not tried one from Korea yet, so hopefully this is a good one. But judging by the IPA that I tried when I was in the bar, I think this one will be pretty damn good, and it looks good already. So yeah, we'll leave it at that for the pour at the moment. That should be enough to make the review. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely, if I hold it up to the light, it's poured a lovely dark sort of chestnutty, almost ebony colour actually. This is definitely one of the darker Dunkels that I've come across. It's almost Doppelbock coloured, to be honest. As you'll know if you've watched the channel, I absolutely love my traditional German beer styles. Doppelbocks, Rauch beers, Dunkels and Helles especially actually. But 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of this glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head. The head incidentally is about 1.5 fingers, and I would describe this as being a nice kind of creamy fawn coloured head actually. It looks absolutely lovely, this beer. Nothing particularly surprising about this one considering the style that it is, but to me that is definitely a good bit darker than some of the Dunkels that I've come across before. It could, you know, going by the colour, it's actually closer to being a Schwarzbier. So yeah, we'll need to comment on that a little bit. As I've told you before, you know, when you talk about Dunkels and Helles and Schwarzbiers, you also have to consider the Czech styles as well. So you've got the Svetlis, which I believe are the blonde ones. You've got the Leitzaks, which I think are the ambers. Otherwise, it's the other way around. You've got the Chernies, which are like the German Dunkels, and then you've got the Tmavis, which are the equivalent of the German Schwarzbiers as well. So you need to think about this when you're trying the sort of German Bohemian style lager beers. Actually, this one does actually look a little bit more like a Schwarzbier or Tmavi now that I think about it. But yeah, you know, we'll give it a smell, we'll give it a taste and see how we get on. So yeah, let's get stuck in. Ooh. Right, I'm going to say that straight away with this beer, the aroma, it's coming in somewhere between a Dunkel and a Tmavi, or a Dunkel and a Schwarzbier, or a Cherny and a Tmavi, however you want to put it. There's definitely a little bit of a roasty, toasty malt quality coming out of this one. You've got some nice brown bready character in there as well. Yeah, you've definitely got a little bit of that nice brown bready note in there. A little bit of a sweeter caramel too. It's quite a toasty brown sugar though. To me the aroma is definitely leaning more towards the Tmavi Schwarzbier kind of thing. Yeah. In fairness, one of the other things I should say is that this brewery do have a beer that is called the Munich Dunkel. They also had a honey brown, and my cousin, when we were in the bar, tried the hemp brown ale as well, which was kind of interesting, a little bit sweet. But to me, this beer, in terms of its aroma, it does come across as kind of like Schwarzbier-like. yeah, so nice roasty toasty, bit of black malt in there, definitely some brown bread, a sweeter sort of brown sugar, a little bit roasty and toasty, some earthy hop in there, definitely some sort of noble hop quality or Czech Sats, something like that, so a little bit earthy, a little bit herbal as well, and some nice floral notes, and a bit of a lighter grassy tone to it as well, which is what you'd expect either from Hallertau, Tittnanger or Czech Sats, as I mentioned. On the fruity side of things, it's there's a little bit of red fruit in there, you know, it's got a bit of a kind of candied, a sort of candied fig or something like that, a little bit of candied strawberry, these sort of slightly reddish fruity esters. I mean, it has everything you'd expect of a Schwarz. It's got a little bit of a Schwarz beer, and it's got a little bit of a Dunkel quality to it, or Cherny and Tmavi, however you want to term it. But yeah, the aroma is pretty nice. I'm just curious to see how this one is going to turn out in the tasting. And actually, when you go a bit closer into it and take the aroma in more deeply, you do get a little bit of an almost plummy sharpness to this beer as well. So that's kind of an interesting point to make about it. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But let's have a taste of this one and see how we get on. This one is the Bosingak Dunkel, coming in at 4.5% from the Table Brewing Company, originally from Jongno here in the centre of Seoul, but now in Ilsan, a little bit to the northwest of the city. Let's get stuck in. Slanje, Skål, Prost, Gombe. Cheers. Yeah, that one is a Tmavi. That's a Schwarz. Yeah, it's a Tmavi Schwarz beer. That, and you know, this is one of the things that I think the company have to be a little bit careful with. Dunkel, yes, it means dark in German, but this beer is a Schwarz beer. This is a black beer. So I would say to that, if people from the Table Brewing Company watch this, I would rename this the Bosingak Tmavi or the Bosingak Schwarz beer. It's not. This isn't a Dunkel. I'll just say that. But as a Schwarz beer, this is good. It's really well done actually. So thumbs up to them for that. But I would just say this does seem to be a thing that happens in Korea a little bit. There does seem to be a bit of confusion about branding and things like that. But to me, this is definitely a Schwarz beer. This is not a Dunkel. So, a nice little surprise there actually. And in fairness, there are one or two little qualities of this beer that do lean towards the Dunkel side of things. So, I'll keep that in mind going forward with this beer. But to me, this is definitely more of a Schwarz beer than it is a Dunkel. But yeah, straight away with this beer, you're going to get a nice roasty toasty black malt quality. That blankets the middle of your tongue. On top of that, you do start to get a little bit more of a bready kind of smoothness to the beer, and that's what makes me say, I've always said there's a bit of difference between the German Schwarz beers and the Czech Tmavis, and I would say that this rule, if you like, happens for all of these beers. You know, that the Czech ones I think tend to be a little bit smoother and a little bit more, maybe not smoother, the Czech ones I think tend to be a little bit sweeter and a little bit more biscuity, whereas the German ones are a little bit smoother and more bready, if that makes sense. To me, this one's got it's got a balance between both of them, so it does have some Tmavi qualities and it does have some Schwarz beer qualities. It's got the smoothness in there, but it also has the slightly more roasty, toasty quality that you'd expect of the German beer, and it definitely has a little bit of that lighter, more crisp quality. So it's a really interesting beer, this one. It's quite unusual in that sense. But I like how that goes together. As a Schwarz beer or Tmavi, this is really solid, so thumbs up to the Table Brewing for this. Like I say, the only thing they've got to be careful with this beer, in my opinion, is that they've got a Munich Dunkel and then they've got the Bosingak Dunkel. I would rename this the Bosingak Schwarz beer, just in my opinion. But yeah, this is really nice. Like I say, roasty toasty black malt across the middle of the palate, a little bit of a kind of brown bready smoothness there. It's like a well-fired bread crust. It really is like that across the middle of your palate. Perhaps in the very centre of your tongue there's a little touch of a kind of sweet biscuity note in there as well. And the further that you go into the aftertaste, this beer just gets a little bit more kind of grainy. There's almost a little bit of a slightly woody taste to this beer as well, actually, which comes out more in the aftertaste. If you go to the very centre of your tongue and just move forward a little bit, you do almost get a very slightly nutty quality to this beer too. But yeah, it's nice. This is well done, and it's cool to see. When I tried the IPA, like I said, I was impressed with that. So they've done a really nice IPA that's got a bit of an American quality and a bit of an English quality, and they seem to be able to do the German Czech styles of beer pretty damn well as well. So, you know, hats off to them for that. On the hoppy side of things with this beer then, back corners of the palate, it does have a nice little bit of earthiness there. I would just, it's almost got a little touch of an English hoppy earthiness to it as well, but when it is the style of beer that it is, I would suspect it's either Czech hops or German hops that are in here, but there is a good little earthy quality to this one. As you move further forward along the sides of the palate, that just smooths out a little bit. There's maybe a tiny bit of herbal quality there, and as you reach the front corners of your palate, it's a little bit more floral, and then round the very front curve of the tongue, it just gets that little bit more sort of grassy as well. Pardon me, I'm finding I'm getting a little bit of gas from this one as well, because the carbonation on this one is actually quite crisp. It's not over carbonated, but it is. It does have a nice little bit of just crispness to it. I'm guessing that they might have treated this one a little bit with CO2 before they put it in the crowler for me. So maybe it's a little bit more carbonated in the crowler than it is actually out of the tap, which it probably is quite likely, to be honest. But yeah. In terms of the fruity side of this beer then, as I always say, you do get those little fruity esters coming out of the beer just behind the front curve of your tongue. For me, this one's a very kind of straight up candied sort of strawberry. There's maybe a little touch of a figgy note to this one, and maybe even a little bit of like a kind of blackberry note in there as well. I mean, all kind of light candied fruity esters that you would expect from you know, from a Schwarzbier or a Dunkel or something like this. You know, it's got everything you'd expect, this beer. And that's you know, that's another comment we can make about this one. We can say this is a beer, it doesn't do anything surprising in terms of being a Schwarzbier or a Tamavi, but it has everything you'd expect, and it's well crafted, and you can't really ask for much more than that when you brew this type of beer. So thumbs up to the Table Brewing for this one. They've pulled off a nice beer here. Like I said, my only concern with this one would be that they've called it a Dunkel when it's not. This is a Schwarzbier or a Tamavi, and they need to make sure that they get that sort of marketing thing right. But like I say, they do have a beer that's called the Munich Dunkel, which is probably more what I would have been expecting for this one. So yeah, it's interesting that it's a nice little surprise, this one. I did expect a slightly sweeter lager, which is why I picked this one, but I've ended up with a Schwarzbier, and I don't get to review too many Schwarzbiers, so there you go, nice surprise on the channel. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I would describe this beer as being fairly light bodied. It's at the top end of light bodied though. Carbonation has a little bit of a prickle to it. A little bit oily, I would say, but mainly kind of a wet mouthfeel. This one just leans a little bit towards that oily side of things. In terms of IBUs, I would suspect this beer is maybe around the 30-35 mark, something like that. You've got a bit of bitterness coming both from the malt base and from the hops in this one. There's a little bit of sweetness to the malt base as well, right enough, and you've also got a little bit of juicy fruitiness in the aftertaste, but the juicy fruitiness is quite light, I would say, compared to the other parts of the beer. But overall, a really nice beer, this one, just not exactly what I was expecting, but definitely cool to review a sort of German traditional style beer from here in Korea. I think, if memory serves me correctly, this is the second German traditional style beer that I've reviewed when I was here, after the one from Wild Wave Brewing Company a little while ago, the Kulsch beer. I don't review too many Kulsches on the channel for you either. So a nice little surprise, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to do a sit down review for you of the Table Brewing. So hopefully I can do another beer from these guys at some point in the future. But it was really cool to review this one for you, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this one. This one is the Bosingak Dunkel, which really is more of a Schwarzbier or Tamavi than a Dunkel or a Cherny, to give it its Czech name, but I really enjoyed this one, and I will try and see if I can review some more Schwarzbiers for you on the channel over the next little while. So do put your recommendations for Schwarzbiers and indeed Dunkels and Helles and things like that in the description below. I really enjoy reviewing kind of traditional German style beers because not a lot of breweries focus on that actually. So yeah, this one, the Bosingak Dunkel from the Table Brewing Company, originally from Jongno in the centre of Seoul, but now in Ilsan, a little bit to the northwest of the city. And really interesting Schwarzbier, this one, but marketed as a Dunkel, which kind of happens in Korea. But thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Table Brewing as well, and hopefully I can return to these guys at some point in the near future. You will see a tap room visit video appear at some point in the fairly near future as well, so I hope you enjoy that, and I will catch you guys very soon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this South Korean mini series that I'm doing for you. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out the Table Brewing Company from Ilsan, just outside of Seoul here in South Korea. Slange, skål, gyeongbay.